on debilitation. So my Mercury is in Libra. And technically, Mercury isn't debilitated in the sign of Libra, but in the ninth house, Mercury does not do well in the ninth house. My Mercury is in the ninth house. I have it in Libra, but also my Mercury is conjunct. That was my highlighter. It was too much on my nose. But my Mercury is conjunct K2 in Vedic astrology, the South Node in Libra. My Venus is in Scorpio, conjunct my MC in my 10th house. And so I have Mercury in Libra. Mercury is fine in Libra. It's the air element. Mercury can use words fluidly. Perfectly fine in Libra. But it's in the ninth house. So I just wanted to come on and be transparent about having a planet that's not only debilitated by sign, but is debilitated by house. So whenever you have a debilitated planet, that means that planet is not operating at in its comfortable space. With Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. Gemini the 3rd house and Virgo the 6th house. And Mercury is like the child of the planets. Mercury likes to play puzzles, analyze, solve problems. Mercury is very practical, very logical, sticks with the facts. The ninth house is not about facts at all. The ninth house is more so about the higher mind, with developing a higher mind. Mercury is about the lower mind, foundational things that we need in childhood. Because in the 3rd house, with the sign of Gemini, these are foundational skills that we learn with basic arithmetic, with learning different skill sets with your hand, through your siblings. You and your siblings might put a bike together. You and your siblings, fight. Think about a sibling rivalry with your hands. You're using your hands because the 3rd house also represents the hands, and just different skill sets that we pick up when we're young. There were puzzles and crossword puzzles and regular puzzles and debating in school and middle school, and these foundational developmental things that we go through in life. And in Virgo, Mercury, we're dealing with work and staying on task and routines and scheduling, because in life there are things that you have to have organized in order to function well. You got to be practical. You can't just be flying by the seat of your pants like fire signs like to do. And that's where my Mercury is, because my Mercury is in a fire house. So in the ninth house, it's almost like Mercury is out of his element. Mercury is trying to use the mind or the logic to analyze things like belief systems, the higher knowledge like social issues, and just things that are not foundational. These are very high level, complicated topics. And some of these topics don't even require, or it's trying to become logical as a individual will pretty much drive you insane. Because it's not meant to be logical. These ideals, because it's ideals. The ninth house is more so about beliefs and ideals, not the day-to-day functioning that we need to operate in the world. So when you have Mercury, like I do, in the ninth house, it makes it hard. Now, what saves me a little bit is the fact that it's in the sign of Libra, and I have Venus in the 10th house, which is a earth sign house. So because where my Mercury falls short, Venus helps me out a little bit. Because Venus is in the sign of Scorpio, and Scorpio is a fixed sign. And the 10th house is a very practical house. And I also have Saturn there. So it's when you do have debilitations, yes, that sign can be debilitated, and you're going to be able to tell. You're going to be able to tell, especially if you're an astrologer and you're engaging with people, you're going to pick up certain planets that a person is operating through. And if the planet is dignified, or if it's debilitated through the communications, through what they're talking about, and just their overall expression, because planets are, the energy is our expressions. We're expressing ourselves through our zodiac, through our natal chart. So when you're having these debilitated planets, and your grace is when you have certain planets in signs that maybe the house may be debilitated, but maybe the sign isn't debilitated. And the planet where that governs that sign is in a different house. That can help you balance out your complications, because having a debilitated Mercury is very frustrating. It's very frustrating, especially when you're needing to get things done practically, and your mind is just gonna be, it's kind of a form of escapism. So when you have Mercury in the ninth house, in the 12th house, or in the sign of Sagittarius or Pisces, this is why this is why I know astrology. I know astrology like the back of my hand. But certain other things, I get frustrated, like, oh my God, I don't even want to listen to this right now. But astrology and stuff like that, belief systems, social issues, I can listen to all day, all night long, not get tired of it. That's my Mercury. So I also have Chiron in Gemini, and I have Lilith in Gemini, and in the 5th house. So, Mercury rules Gemini. So as Saturn right now is in Pisces, the sun is in Pisces, and these topics are coming up for me in my life big time, okay? With the Mercury in the 9th house, which is debilitated, and it's very frustrating. And for me, it's at work, and the 6th house is work. And Mercury governs the 6th house, where you're able to slow down the process and analyze. So for me, it's dealing with the technical side of my job, and me struggling, to catch on with the technical aspect.